It's time for Around the Ozarks in 5, brought to you by the Butterfly Palace. Have the best day ever at the Butterfly Palace. Springfield Greene County Park Board, reminding you to go play. Roto-Rooter Plumbing and Drain Service. Call Southwest Missouri's best plumber today for a free estimate. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Sarah Foreheads.
Hey, good morning to you once again. Here we are on Friday. We made it through another week. Diana Tyndall is with me from Modern Day Marketing. Thrilled to have you back, Diana.
Yeah, sorry, slept in.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
I committed to fill in, and then I failed you, so sorry about that.
That's all right. I did it by my lonesome, and it was fine. I mean, the audience didn't enjoy it, but
you do.
But
I
had a good time. I had a good time. All right, let's do some news. What do you say?
Okay. Yeah, you bet.
We know more about that shooting that happened at the Chiefs Super Bowl celebration. It started apparently as a personal dispute involving several people who all had guns, apparently. That led to gunfire, terror, and chaos as people ran from the scene, ran from for their lives, really. This is tragic. A mother of two who was a well-known radio personality in Kansas City was killed. 22 others, ages 8 to 47, were wounded by gunfire. Imagine that. Police arrested 3 people. 2 of them were juveniles. Police also recovered several guns at the scene. Police are now working to try to figure out who else was involved in this, but they say that there was no terrorism connection to the crime. So that's good news.
Yeah.
We do know 9 children were shot, and fortunately 7 of them have already been released from the hospital. But man, you think about the trauma that they've endured, not just physical, but emotional for the rest of their lives. Hopefully not, but about 1 million people turned out for the Chiefs' victory parade and rally in Kansas City earlier this week. And now they're saying that this could be the end. That event could spell the end of mass gatherings to celebrate championships, which is really just sad. But that's the state of America as it is right now. Security experts say there's no way to prevent an event like that when that many people are gathered together, and that makes clear sense. How can you stop that? Sadly, I think it's a sign of the times. Too much violence and so little respect for life that this is the recipe. This is what you get.
It's so scary. I tell you what, my son the other day, I had told him about it right after that had happened. And he said, that's so weird. I had like an awful feeling that there was going to be a shooting. It was like he had no clue any of this was happening.
Wow.
And it was just really odd. It was very eerie. And he goes, like, I knew that was going to happen. And I was like, oh.
And how old is he?
He's 12. Yeah.
He's 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought goes through his head that at this big event, there's going to be a shooting. That's a sad state of affairs.
But I will say on the Patriot and like the hero side, I saw, one of the guys was running, and then there were several people that jumped on him and tackled this individual that they suspected was one of those who, fired shots. So, wow.
Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah. I always love seeing heroes doing that. So
that's right.
Well, meanwhile, there's big news for a few local nonprofit organizations. First, the Community Foundation of the Ozarks is buying the Missouri State Meyer Alumni Center building on South Jefferson in downtown Springfield. And it'll become the new CFO's headquarters. CFO is buying the building from MSU for $5.8 million. And the Alumni Center will get a new $18 to $20 million building on Missouri State campus on the site of what's now a parking lot. So I think Missouri State will have to figure out more parking, but that's exciting that they'll be in closer proximity.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then there's the Boys and Girls Clubs of Springfield just broke ground in a brand new location, a 2-story, 32,000 square foot Risdell Family Teen Center for Great Futures will be built on West Catalpa Street near the Grant Avenue Parkway. The center will be targeted towards middle school and high schoolers, and it'll offer some really neat after school programming in education, leadership, workforce readiness, health and wellness, sports and recreation, and of course the arts. And the Boys and Girls Club have already raised more than $7 of the $12 million for this building. How
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do such great work with kids who need that stuff after school. Well done. Good for them.
Yeah, that's exciting. Good job, Brandy. Shout out to my friend. And AIDS Project of the Ozarks is buying the Grove Pharmacy building on South Glenstone, just north of Sunshine. The last day for Grove to operate is 1 week from today. Then AIDS Project of the Ozarks will take over operations. APO says for various reasons, it needs to have its own pharmacy. So
okay,
there you go.
Now it's going to get it.
Yeah.
All right. One person was arrested, accused of making suspicious calls to the Mansfield School District. Apparently, the school was put on lockdown yesterday. 2 of those calls came in, and they apparently came from outside Wright County, which is interesting. But the arrest was made. Whoever made those calls was caught, and nothing happened at the school. So good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Branson, meanwhile, is cracking down on extended stay motels and hotels that it deems unsafe. The city just shut down 6 of those businesses, part of Branson's new lodging safety initiative, which it launched back in the fall. The shutdown of each of these buildings follows 2 notices that each of those businesses got to fix problems, and then the forced closure can happen if the problems are not addressed. And apparently they weren't, at least in these 6 cases. And we're told that 8 more motels and hotels are in the process of being shut down now in Branson.
Wow. Well, about 250 Missouri National Guard members are now stationed on the U.S. southern border. They are there to support U.S. Customs and Border Protection, which is dealing with an unprecedented crisis of massive proportions. Just in the month of December, there were more than 302,000 migrant encounters at the southern border. By far the largest single month figure in the U.S. history. Those people are allowed into the U.S. and then told to appear for proceedings sometime in the future.
But there's no repercussions if they don't. They're just lost in the population. If you see the video of some of those crossings down there, it is unbelievable.
And what's scary to me is the individuals that are crossing the border don't seem to be good guys and gals.
Well,
not trying to hate on the guys, but not good for our country.
I mean, we've seen in the past that young men can cause problems. You know what I mean? If they're enemies of the United States, and we don't know who. We don't know who's crossing the border. We don't know. Are they terrorists? But we do all this stuff for airports across the country. We've got all this security. When people fly in, they have to go through all this stuff. And then meanwhile, along the southern border, people are just waltzing across at will.
Or you have these people. Or you have these people that have come into the country legally, like my brother-in-law, who's from Argentina.
Yeah.
He's come into the country legally and worked hard to get his U.S. citizenship. And so you have people like that honestly, it's not fair. It's not right. And, there's a lot of opinions. Now you're getting us started. Moving on.
It's a mess down there. I know that. And it has been for a few years now.
Yeah, it is. Well, speaking of messes, here's this story that still is familiar to many people. The city of Springfield's still trying to offer options for the Hotel of Terror, the haunted house to relocate. The city is trying to buy the property and already tried taking the property through eminent domain as part of its plan to restore Jordan Creek and revitalize that whole area, which is going to be really neat once they can get that taken care of. But the latest move involved the city moving to rezone another piece of property so the Hotel of Terror could relocate there. But the owner says that he's willing to move. It has to be at a price, though, that allows him to recreate his haunted house in a way that it's effective. So we'll see. The saga continues there.
And he's really said that all along. They just have vastly different ideas of what that dollar number is.
Right. Of what's fair. Yeah. To recreate a crappy old building. I shouldn't have
Right.
said that. I mean, but it's an older building. I
Well,
mean,
that's what makes it scary.
right.
That's what makes it
It's
scary.
terrifying. I went in there once and I've never, ever, ever returned.
I'm sure. I'd know better than to go in once.
Yeah, I was dumb.
Well, this is gloomy as well. America's fiscal future. We're gonna bring you down here, but you got to know what's happening.
Okay.
According to the 10-year forecast released just this week by the economic experts at the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO is projecting that by the year 2034, so 10 years from now, the U.S. federal government will run a $2.6 trillion deficit, equivalent to more than 6% of our gross domestic product, while public held debt would nearly double from 26 trillion to 48 trillion dollars, reaching a record 116% of the gross domestic product. That's unsustainable. Unsustainable. It is very unsettling news, considering that right now, before all of that, right now, each American family would owe $400,000 to pay off our current debt.
That just makes me sick.
That's a house payment. That's a mortgage. That's insane.
That's a lot of money. Well,
and we're just adding to it, snowballing to it.
Yeah. Well, following that story, there's this too, which says that less than half of Americans are very satisfied with how things are going in their personal lives, 47% according to a new Gallup survey. Interestingly, the study found satisfaction highest among upper level or upper income married individuals with religious background. And the lower satisfaction level coincides with weak economic confidence and probably the news that they owe 400 grand to the feds. And, this was interesting. I heard this the other day that 66% of Americans are financially illiterate. Like they don't understand basic finances. And that's terrifying. That's really scary. So what do you think about that, Ethan?
Well, I think that sort of thing should be just basic things that people need in life should be taught in schools.
Absolutely.
For one, because I could have used a lot of that financial stuff myself. My dad was a great dad, but he didn't teach me about financial, how to grow money, how to do things like that. Yeah. So I had to figure it out on my own later than I would have liked to be honest with you. But I think this discontent, we're the greatest country in the history of the world. We have more than anybody else, yet we're miserable. Why? I think part of that is that we're too busy, and I don't think our phones help us at all because we're tethered to this thing constantly. So you never get a break from anything. But I believe, I honestly, more than that, I think it's a spiritual crisis that our country's in. I think if you look at the number of people who attend church regularly, those numbers have dropped dramatically over the last 40 years or so. And I think there's a correlation to that. I think, why is it that people who are religious are happier? Well, because there's a foundation that's involved in that. There's a security that is involved in what you know about who you are, where you're going. Yeah. And there's a covering that is a protection. And so I would urge people to get back to church. And I think it's also related to these ridiculous shootings that we have all the time. We have a spiritual crisis in our country of
and these mental
magnitude.
And mental crisis and a lot of that I think correlates to what you just said with the spiritual element. So it breaks my heart, and I'm so thankful to my dad because my dad did show me how to balance a checkbook. He showed me the basics, like you have to wait for this check to clear before you're going to go and spend this money because it's going to clear and then you're going to be overdrafted. And I think too, if we're not spending with cash, I know it's been proven so many times when you spend with cash, you feel the pain more than if you just swipe or if you just like do an Apple Pay, purchase. And so I think these companies know how to get to us and how to make payments easy and all that. So,
but they're not working for our good. They're working for their good, which is many times at odds with our good.
Well, as the good word says, let us fix our eyes on things of above. heavenly things instead of
You
things
got
of
it.
this world.
Yeah,
So,
we would do well to get kids back in church so that I think kids are growing up without any kind of foundation. What's truth? What's right? What's wrong? They don't even know. And
well,
it's
truth is all subjective now. I mean, it's, yeah.
right.
Well, let's end on some good news here.
Okay.
Tomorrow is the third annual KY3 Women's Show presented by Convoy of Hope, Ethan's company. So exciting.
Yeah.
Grab your girlfriends, enjoy a day of shopping and fashion and food, health, beauty, and fun, all going on Saturday from 8 until 4 at the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds Eplex. Enjoy a fashion show, performances by Springfield Little Theater, which is always fun, seminars on women's health issues, and so much more. Oh, so exciting.
It's a great event. It really is. Believe it or not, I've been there a couple of times.
As a
for
guy?
For Convoy of Hope. Yeah, they let me
I was
in
gonna
just
say
because we're
signing
sponsors.
autographs like on your bio. Hold on, I want a print of Ethan. Can I have a print of Ethan, please? With this one?
Doing a lot of that. But it's neat. It's neat to see all the women there just supporting women businesses, and learning about what Convoy of Hope does for women. It's a neat event. So if you don't have plans already, make plans to be there at the Eplex on Saturday, tomorrow.
Yeah, that sounds like a great event. And there's a lot of other fun events if you go to aroundtheozarks.com and follow the Facebook page. I saw a farmers markets happening this weekend. I was like, I didn't realize they're happening already, but there's lots of great opportunities happening this weekend. So
there are. The one other thing is we talked about this earlier this week, but the Humane Society is offering microchips and vaccines for cheap. It's first come, first serve out at the Humane Society of Southwest Missouri. So look them up and head out there. I think the first 80 people get in. So
yeah, I should go, but
there's a lot going on.
Don't want to fight the crowd. Yeah.
Well, microchips are great. Microchips are great, and you can get them for pretty cheap there.
Yeah.
In case your pet goes missing. All right. Well, that's it for Friday. We made it through another week. Congratulations to you.
Thanks.
Thanks for filling in for Sarah. She is still in Tanzania. She'll be back middle of next week or so. But until then, we'll be hanging out, and hope you have a fantastic weekend.